Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hope you all fine in this pandemic condition of the COVID-19. So in this session we started about the video lectures about the learning. Basically the learning is mostly related to the daily life of our working and daily happening, which we learn, what we learn, and how learning process is proceed. So in this video I will tell you about the learning. What is learning? Animals mostly learn about the different scale, experience, observation, how they learn, what are the processes that promote this learning. So let's start. Basically the learning is basically the change in behavior of an organism. Basically this change is adopted the organism to new environment. For example, whenever it takes place in a behavior of organism, so then it's mean the animal gains some experiences, because with the help of the experiences an organism change its behavior. At some time when an organism goes to new environment, so as a result they change behavior. This change behavior helps the organism to adopt in the new environments. So you know that the change in behavior, the learnings don't promote the organism to adopt into new environment, but also promote the organism to adopt the daily changes take places in the new environment. So that whenever change is take place in a new environment, so the organism change themselves in order to survive, understand, in order to survive and reproduce and to adjust themselves with the new changes taking place in the environment. So basically learning is the behavior, it is a predictable response. The organism changes and organism learn with in a variation, in the different variation, understand. So you know that what are the two major processes that promote learning? Basically the habituations, and the next one was the instant learning. You know that the habituation is a simple form of learning in which an organism changes behavior to the stimulus. If there is no change to stimulus, then organism don't respond. The other one was the instant learning, that is the most complex type of the learning, in which the cognitive ability of the mass involved in these processes. Mean to say, instant learning is promote how organism achieves whenever organism is exposed, is given to some material, then how organism deal with such material in order to achieve the goal, understand. And in this example you will learn about the chimpanzee example, in which he able to achieve the banana that is hanging over the ceiling fans. So the next one was the type of the learning. Basically the style, there is the habituation, sensory adaptation, and the next ones were the classical and operant and observations and insight. Classical operant observation that we will discuss about our next video. Here we tell about the simple and just short justifications of the habituations and the sensory adaptation. Basically these are the type of the learning in organism response to the new environment. So basically the habituation, the simple form of learning, and it is basically the process of responding less strongly over the continuous repeated stimulus, understand. Whenever a stimulus taking place, understand, organism responds. But whenever the similar repeated stimulus happen, the organism don't respond, understand. In this situation, organism only responds that is only the happens, understand. If this happening is repeated, then organism don't respond in this situation. So you will know that the habituation is basically the conditions. It is a conditions form of learning, understand. An organism changes behavior. And organism mostly to conserve energy, understand. And this conserved energy is restored due to the repeated stimulus, understand. Whenever the stimulus in which organism respond to the habituation learning is repeated, stimulus repeated in this form of learning, then the energy that the organism conserve is restored. And other example, you know that whenever crow in the rice tree, and whenever scarecrow squeezes over the rice tree, and whenever the crow reflect to this scarecrow, then they change, they show the stimulus, and if there is a predator, if they are fear, if there are dangers from this crow, then the crows fly away and they don't respond. Similarly, when they notice with the passage of time, do the experience or observation of this scarecrow, then they notice that they know that they include this scarecrow, then they don't, as a result, they don't respond. Understand? They don't fly away, and they don't feel other, because due to continuously repeated stimuli, they don't change its behavior. Because when we talk about the habituation, understand, and you know the example of the squirrel. The squirrel, whenever it's a park field, understand, when there is no human community of the human being, with the passage of time, they involve in automobile field, traffic, automobile fields, as well as the human being. So the human. So they respond. They noted that there are no any dangers included this because of the continuously repeated stimuli. You know that habituation is basically the form of learning. It is the process of responding. Understand? It is basically the process of responding of the less strongly over the continuously repeated stimuli. So the next one was the sensory adaptation. Sensory adaptation is also the type of learning an organism respond. Understand? And in the sensory receptor cell response of the continuously repeated stimuli, we know that our ears, our eyes, our mouth, our skin, our touching, these are the response due to continuous changes in the environments. So when you expose to the room in which there is odors and as well as you have a darkness, understand, you have a darkness. So first of all, your olfactory nerve is become conducted to this this new stimuli, and you able to recognize this odor, and you are able to understand about the person in the darkness. Understand, the persons in the darkness. So in this type of learning, you learn about that in habituation there is a organism respond to the continuous repeated stimuli, and they don't change their behavior if the stimuli is repeated. But you want to know about your sensory adaptation, in which the sensory receptor cells involved in organism changes behavior, but if the continuous stimulus, if the continuous behavior repeated, then the organism don't change its sensory don't change its behavior, because it is a form of learning. Sensory adaptation, it is a form of learning, it is a form of understanding. Even the sensory receptors are involved, and they respond of the continuous repeated stimuli, and sometimes they stop responding if the similar stimulus is repeated continuously manner. So you know that difference, there is some difference in the habituation. If an organism brain stop responding of the unchanging behavior. For example, when you're living near the airport, and the organism that are living near the airport, and when the aeroplane is taken off and fly away and landed, so a lot of noise is involved. Understand? So the organism living near the airport, they become continuously adapted to their behavior with this noise, so they don't respond. If a new animal goes to this environment, so it is very difficult for them to adopt this behavior. Similarly, and the next one is when the sensory adaptation, in the sensory receptor cells involved in order to respond the behavior. Understand? And in order to the responding and the changing and the stimuli, they don't respond if the continuous stimulus is repeated in a continuous manner. For example, harsh showers, loud music, turn off lights, and smell in someone's house. These are the examples, and these are the difference between the habituation and sensory adaptation. So in this video lecture, study about the habituation and sensory adaptation. I hope you understand. If you have any query, any question, you may ask in the comment section. And please subscribe my channel and get the latest version of my video. Allah Hafiz.